This presentation is going to outline a definition of human rights, but the main focus point within the presentation is going to be based on forced marriage. I will demonstrate my understanding of forced marriage, how it violates people's human rights, and also what effects this has on those who experience it. According to Freeman, the concept of human rights is a basis for articulating the wrongs done to individuals by unjust and oppressive uses of power. It gives rise to a number of moral dilemmas and philosophical puzzles, but the moral force of its core meaning remains extremely powerful and deservedly influential. When it comes to defining forced marriage, Maroof 2012 expresses that it is of current national and international importance as a social problem. Forced marriage is a marriage without free and voluntary consent of one or both of the proposing spouses. She then explains how, regardless of age and gender, people are forced into marriage in the name of family, honour, tradition and religion. Therefore, this is involuntary action towards individuals whilst retracting their own human rights. Likewise, it is defined in the UDHR's Article 16, number 2, that forced marriage is a violation of internationally recognised human rights standards. Marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of intending spouses. Forced marriage can cause people a lot of stress through years of misery and violence. Anne Phillips argues that there is no question that governments have a responsibility to intervene effectively against it. However, there are various obstacles that get in the way of this effective intervention. The first problem being that there was no apparent difference between forced and arranged marriages. Some people think both forms of marriages are inappropriate due to the parental involvement of looking for a partner. The reason for this is because individuals may be pressured as their parents may define some partners as inappropriate due to things such as social class, skin colour, religion or gender. Phillips backs up her argument by saying that this latter reduces the seriousness of being forced into a marriage and relates on par to arranged ones. Number 21 of the General Recommendation of the UN Committee on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination confirms that women have a right to choose a spouse and enter freely into marriage, as it is central to her life, dignity and equality as a human being. Also, Article 16 of the Convention of Discrimination Against Women conveys that state parties shall ensure on a basis of equality to men and women, so they have the same right freely to choose a spouse to enter into marriage only with their free and full consent. However, the facts and figures on this presentation show that approximately 14 million girls under the age of 18 marry each year due to forced marriage, which is around one girl every 2 seconds, reflecting on the vast amount of human rights violations being committed. Therefore, things have to be done to prevent forced marriage from happening. The Home Office 2012 shows that the UK is one of the leading countries in the world tackling forced marriage. It is defined as an appalling practice that is recognised in the UK as a form of violence against women and men, domestic abuse or a serious abuse of human rights, and where minor is involved, child abuse. Therefore, the UK has stepped in with various policies to prevent forced marriages. The main policy being the Forced Marriage Unit, which is a joint Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and the Home Office Unit, which was set up in January 2005 to lead on the government's forced marriage policy, outreach and casework. It operates both inside the UK, where support is provided to any individual, and also overseas, where consular assistance is provided to British nationals, including dual nationals. The Forced Marriage Unit also operates a public helpline to provide advice and support to victims of forced marriage, as well as any professionals dealing with cases with regards to the matter. The assistance provided ranges from simple safety advice through to aiding a victim to prevent their unwanted spouse moving to the UK, and in some extreme circumstances, rescues victims held against their will overseas. However, there are some survivors of forced marriage that have shared the stories to create awareness. The first story I'm going to talk about is about a female called Lena. Lena's father found out that she had a boyfriend, which changed everything in their family. He was so angry he shaved off her hair and kept her as a prisoner away from friends and family. He then began to arrange marriage with a man which she had never met. She was told having a boyfriend was against their culture and she had to follow their customs with no way out. This led to her taking an overdose, but fortunately she recovered in hospital. Raj was another survivor of forced marriage. He found it hard to admit that he had been in the situation just because he was a male. He said that admitting that you were held hostage by your own family and being forced to marry a stranger was not exactly macho. However, he managed to get himself out of the forced marriage when he returned to the UK, which took him 3 years to do. He experienced a lot of financial and emotional turmoil when filing for a divorce, but if he knew about any support prior to this, he could have avoided it. Both stories are reflections of real-life incidents that allow us to see that forced marriages are still happening frequently, even in the current social order. In conclusion, as noted within the presentation, figures show that certain ethnic minorities are still experiencing the harsh and brutal experiences of forced marriages. However, it is apparent that the UK are striving to do their best to eliminate forced marriages happening within the UK and also prevention for British citizens in other countries. The separation of the two interchangeable terms, forced and arranged marriage, allows individuals to gain an understanding of the complete difference between the two, whilst boosting the significant impact of the absolute violations forced marriage infringes on the lives of individuals.